But hey, everybody. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe it's Sunday night and it's rumbling out there. And glad to be. Oh, Michele Hornish is out there. We were just talking about you, Michele. Great to see you. And what we're going to do, so you know, and you're in the room, welcome Benita. Hey, Benita, Anthony, I haven't seen you in ages. Great to see you in the room. We're real excited tonight because we're going to be talking about fabulous, unreasonable women and what we're going to be doing about the state of this GasLit Nation. We've invited two fantastic people to join us tonight, but we can only do it one at a time because it's subject. It's not like our Friday power lunch where we can do it to everybody, right? Let's tell who they are. And Andrea Chalupa, and she's the podcast GasLit Nation is going to join us, and then Michele Hornish, Small Deeds Done, and Every State Blue will talk, because let's tell people why do we want to have doing something special this weekend.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I'm so excited, Catherine, but I'm mostly excited for you that you'll get a good night's sleep, because Lord knows
maybe.
you have been working day and night along with others, but you driving the work for this summit, which is going to be fantastic. My mom said to me, I said, I'm not going to be here this week. I'm going to the Women's Summit. And she said, what are y'all going to do there? And I was like, we are going because we're going to win the election in November. That's right. No, we're going to win the election in November, and we're going to do our work so that we can come back prepared and ready to hit the road. So that's what we're doing.
I want to hear that Bonita's coming up. She's great, and it's been too long. If you want to get into good trouble, she's somebody good trouble with. But what I'm really excited about, I was just on a coalition. The Virginia Grassroots Coalition has their Sunday meeting, and this is the thing about this Big Ten Women's Summit that's coming up August 21st through 23rd. We've been doing this for a decade of activism. And Deborah Wharton's in the room. Hey, girl. This is, I can't believe it, 10 years later, there's some gray hair up here, a lot of gray hair, but this is a very important year just for a lot of reasons. But the Grassroots Coalition meeting is where we got together. We used to meet in the basement, and literally in a church basement, like a lot of movements start. And that was really kind of interesting. It was really, we'd get speakers from all over, people from all over meeting in this church basement. And now here we are 10 years later. I guess we got out of the basement because then COVID put us into Zoom, and then, here we are. So, hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? Oh my God. I am in the dark going in and out because there's a storm. That's what's taking me so long to log on. So I'm going to be in and out of the dark.
It's okay.
This whole interview.
We're coming into the light. I live not far from you, so I hear that same. I was telling Fennell because she's in Eastern Shore, and I'm hearing that same thunder and all that. But we have a great show. We were just telling people. First of all, Andrea Chalupa, buonasera. ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo se llama?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. You're back from Italy and everywhere else, but we're really excited to bring you on the Friday Power Lunch, and this weekend. I just love the serendipitous of life that one of your followers, Kent Dietz, introduced us, and we just had so much fun talking. But your work is so critical, and this reasonable guide for unreasonable women. We're just so excited that you'll be at the summit this weekend. And I'll say it again, August 21st to 23rd. I will put it in there, networknova.org. Come and get your ticket, because we're going to hang out Saturday and have some great combo.
We're going to have an amazing time. I'm so excited. And I have to tell you, I watched the Columbo episode with Johnny Cash, and it's dark. It's dark. I need to listen to music now to cleanse from that episode.
Well,
sorry about that.
I'm telling you, we all have our boyfriends. I have my Johnny over here. I'll bring him up. Hey, no one has a Columbo picture. Here's my Johnny Cash. Favorite album that I always regretted that I didn't get to see him later in life. So anyhow.
Well, I just want to tell everybody who's sort of catching on what that was all about. So I was telling Andrea that I watched Columbo so I can go to sleep at night, and that I've seen absolutely every episode of Columbo. And then Catherine, of course, loves Johnny Cash. And I said, there is an episode of Columbo that Johnny Cash is the guest star. And so
he's the murderer.
He's the murderer. How could he do it?
And he's the
See a whole other
murderer.
side of Johnny Cash.
Okay, and he's the murderer in that episode, so I guess I should have told you all that. He didn't get killed in in that episode. He was actually the murderer in that episode. So I'm sorry that I did not tell you all that.
No. It's a brilliant episode. Thank you for the recommendation. And I'm so proud to share my 2 little girls want to be Columbo. And I'm like, girls, there are plenty of crimes to solve. Just you wait. There's a lot of criming out there these days.
Well, I'm wondering, yeah, though, I guess maybe Johnny was thinking that here is his chance to really get to be the kind of a bad guy, kind of be fun to act. That's kind of silly. It's kind of great. I also want to say, Andrea, that Michele Hornish is in the room, and I can't wait for the summit to introduce powerful, interesting women and fun women with other women that just hold a power thing. And I don't know if you know, but she has Substack, Small Deeds Done, and Every State Blue. And she's going to be doing a master class with Fanel. And then Rachel Bidikofer, who's also on Substack, The Cycle, she's going to be there. So it's going to be amazing getting all you on stage at some point and have a bunch of unreasonable women, though Michelle's kind of reasonable. But
Yeah, but here's what I found fascinating about Andrea, and I want you to tell our audience the
yes.
story about your film and what you decided you were going to do, how you raised the money, how you did all of that, because people need to know how incredible you are. So can you just tell
Oh,
that
that is
story?
so sweet. Thank you, Fennel. Thank you so much. Well, right back at both of you ladies. And I'm so honored to join the brilliant women of Virginia. I brag about you for years on my podcast. I watch Virginia, All Eyes on I've had an episode of GasLit Nation, my podcast, called All Eyes on Virginia. So
Love it.
I feel like we've been building up to this for years, long before we met. So yes, so I wrote and produced a journalistic thriller directed by 3-time Academy Award nominee Agnieszka Holland, who directed Europa Europa, the story of a Jewish boy who hides in Hitler's youth to survive, as well as the 1990s version of The Secret Garden and lots of episodes of House of Cards, The Wire, The Affair, just a lot of great TV and film. And that stars James Norton, who's right now blowing up in House of Dragon, and Vanessa Kirby, who is Princess Margaret on The Crown. It's just amazing. It's like the acting in Mr. Jones is extraordinary. I'm a huge nerd for brilliant acting, and it's just a feast of extraordinary acting performances. And it's a script that I had to produce myself because no one wanted it. And people thought I was crazy, and I had zero connections to Hollywood, no agent, manager, nothing. And so I had to learn. I had to learn how to ask people for millions of dollars, how to build a team from scratch, how to work with lawyers, how to negotiate with a pair of brass knuckles, bedazzled brass knuckles, as I call them in the book. And so I had to learn. I just threw myself into the deep end because I am an unreasonable woman, and everyone treated me like you were just so unreasonable. But yes, but I got it done. And it's an important human rights film because it's about my grandfather. It's inspired by my grandfather who lived through Stalin's genocide famine in Ukraine and left me a memoir of his life that he typed on a Ukrainian typewriter. And in his memoir, he shows all the events that George Orwell allegorized in Animal Farm. So you see Animal Farm through the eyes of a survivor.
Wow.
And so that's why I put Animal Farm, George Orwell, into my film, Mr. Jones. So George Orwell, played beautifully by the British actor Joseph Mawle, is in the film. And that film is considered today as Ukraine's Schindler's List. It's been screened around the world. The Russians shut it down when a human rights group, Memorial, a prestigious, largest human rights group in all of Russia, that dared to keep a historical record of all of the Soviet crimes. They were under so much harassment by the Russian regime, and they dared to show Mr. Jones in Moscow, and the Kremlin just shut them down finally. It's like shut down the whole organization. And we then responded by blasting Mr. Jones, projecting it onto the building of the Kremlin press office in Washington, D.C. Like, we just kept going. So I've gotten messages from all over the world because it's a story of how Western corruption helps dictatorships carry out genocides. It's really a story of Western corruption. It's really a story of Fox News because a lot of these paid-off journalists were spreading disinformation. So it's a film about today. And so that's why the movie had to get made. And so my book, A Reasonable Guide for Unreasonable Women, is very, very... The message is extremely important for all of us to stay grounded in this time, which is yes, be ambitious. Yes, have a major goal for yourself because you can do it and you will do it, but not unless you align it with a greater good, a higher power. And that is what will sail you through. And so I wasn't trying to make this film to become a famous screenwriter, to win an Oscar. I made this movie for a greater good, for a historical truth, for historical justice, to get revenge for my grandfather and all who suffered, and to give a name back to the nameless who suffered, people that were just treated like statistics. And so that's what all of us have to really hold on tight to is take what it is you want to do and align it with that greater good. And that will make you unstoppable. That will make you an unreasonable woman.
See, I was gonna say, I love that because it's really perfect that we're having this conversation right now
Right.
in this moment when so much crazy is out there that, quite frankly, I would have never expected it. I never expected in 2016 that we would be doing this
Right.
again.
Right.
So you must be unreasonable in your thinking to figure out how we're going to get ourselves out of this mess. And what I love most about the story is you said no one would fund you. You had to figure it all out. And I sort of that's where we are today. We are the underdogs. We are the misfits. This is us right here.
Right.
Us and all the
Exactly.
folks who are out there who are listening. We are the misfits and the underdogs. And we are the ones that no one ever believes is going to win. But we do because we
Right.
don't stop. We persevere through it all.
Yeah.
100%. And the field is wide open. The canvas is ours. We're the ones that get to create and fill it. They're burning everything down. They are a lawless regime, and lawless regimes are ultimately a viper's den of self-destruction. Like, look at Carolyn Levitt. She can't, she's not even in there for a year. And all these women, Christy Noem, all these women getting pushed out. It's a viper's den, and they always turn on each other. We see that again and again with dictatorships. And so it's for us, the people, the women, to work together and dream big for our country, dream big for the kind of world and lives we want to lead, and build the power of our imaginations and the power of our creativity, the power of our defiance. And that, if you do that, if you remember that your courage is the best revenge, you will haunt Steve Bannon's nightmares.
I would
Oh, we
So,
love
love,
that.
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that.
I'm just thinking too, it's, when my husband and I were walking and I was just out, you just get those points where you just get sort of overwhelmed by so many things that are happening. That's why I love about your book and the guide. But he's like, well, what can we do? And I'm like, we have to have that Eastern European mentality. When somebody marches in, you all just pull your pants down and moon them. Those kind of things we've heard about when, troops march in. Like, I'm like, we have to be, and Americans haven't, over time, maybe a few times in history, we have some kind of really big reaction. But I said to him, it's going to mean we're going to have to just come out in such great numbers that it's just overwhelming if they try to do something, or they've done so many terrible stuff. But it feels like, when will that urgency come where everybody rises up and millions of people are just in the streets in some ways? But I think that you bring that kind of understanding and the gift that you were given by family to really know the path already, I think is cool. I mean, it's very enlightening. So I think the most important thing, I was on a call before I got in here where I didn't get to finish my thought before. I was saying that we had this grassroots coalition call, and I was really talking about what's happening with ICE. And
Hmm.
we are in time, in real time, reporting in our coalition things that are happening to people being dragged out, their cars being attacked, windows are broken, just right here in our area, right? And so it felt so heavy. And it was just, you know, something that we'll talk about at the summit. But I said, this is why we need to get together. It's so important we convene. And when you say about committing to staying human in this time, when we're trying to think about things we can do, what I love about the guide is these are just reasonable things to do. Keeping your humanity, being courageous, being unreasonable where you can, where you feel like, gosh, I can't do something, where you really are showing people that it's really simple things that you can do.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And they want you to overthink and shrink yourself, and they
Right.
depend on your fear. So ICE doesn't have to bash in every car window in Virginia. They just have to do one.
Right.
And then that's going to make you start second guessing yourself. And then you'll be afraid of putting yourself out there. So the most important thing that we need to do, especially as women, because they want to put us into a cage. Like it's like worse than the 1950s because they have a fetish fantasy of what the 1950s were. So it's even worse, right? And at least the 1950s had like a higher tax income for the wealthy to afford services and so on. But so basically the most important thing that we need to do as unreasonable women, we have to be unreasonable, which is take up space. Take up space. Raise your voice, make some noise. They want you to shrink, so do the opposite. They want you to forget your power, so use it. That is exactly what we all need to be doing now. And just understand that we are so vastly creative. We are infinite. We have legacies of extraordinary human beings, our ancestors, our historical mentors that are surging through us, calling on us to remember this moment and saying, like, don't look at them, look at me. And that's what I always remember is like, I hold on to the hands of the people who have fought these battles before us and won. And I mention a lot of those extraordinary women throughout the book because none of us are getting through this without our historical mentors. None of us are getting through this without remembering and reminding ourselves in however way we need to do it. And I provide concrete ways in the book on how to do this, how to surround yourself with the legacy that you are a part of. There are going to be women in Virginia 100 years from now who are going to remember you women in this moment and write write college papers on, well, how did the women of Virginia respond to that moment? And so you're creating history here live.
Yeah, I wanted to just remind us that sometimes we think that we don't have power. And we were talking about this on Friday, but Barbara Johns in Virginia, when they would not, they would just, the schools were segregated, but the Black schools were just so badly um, uh, uh, given money. So they just didn't have anything. They were horrible compared to the white schools. She was 16 years old. So when she created that walkout that helped do Brown versus the Board of Education, she was 16. And so when we think about, our power and what we have the ability to do, I'll also give the example Wyatt Walker. And I think it was Mississippi or Alabama. I won't tell you which one. But the point was this. No, it was wherever Bull Connor is, the guy who was the horrible. So they didn't have any power. They didn't have any power whatsoever. But you know what they decided? They decided that they would let their power, the cruelty, be their enemy. And so I think to your point, there are so many examples that we can follow so that we can determine what is going to be our strategy and tactics, the ones that were of old and the ones that are new that we are able to tap into now. And so based on the book Unreasonable Women, based on the historical context that we have, you're right. It is infinite in terms of what we will have the ability to do and what we must do, because we must do it.
And I have to share like my own personal lived experience. I grew up in Northern California in a farming town with the University of California, Davis, in Davis, California. We were like one of the only Ukrainian families in town. And there's a lot of farming people, university people. And, my family grew up like very loud immigrant New Yorkers with a very Ukrainian household and very proudly Ukrainian. And I would tell people, yeah, my family's from Ukraine. And immediately in their head, they'd say, oh, you're from Russia. And I'm like, two different countries. In fact, the Russians tried to kill us.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that gaslighting that you grew up with, where your whole, you come from a family where there's trauma, where there's genocide. Like my grandfather, my parents had a party and there was a doctor there, and he goes up to my grandfather because my grandfather's hands were shaking. And he says to my grandfather, oh, do you have Parkinson's? I'm an expert in Parkinson's. And my grandfather, without missing a beat, says, no, KGB.
KG.
And so I grew up with those stories. And so my book, A Reasonable Guide, it's my own lived experience with that Ukrainian model that I was raised on, which is why, the whole world gave Ukraine 3 days and then is going to fall to Russia. And even the United States government, the most powerful military in the world by far, was saying to Zelensky, get on a flight. We're going to get you out of there. And he's like, what are you even talking about? Like, no. And like all these years later, Ukraine is now leading the world in drone innovation. We just had a military exercise with Ukrainian drones versus the United States military, and those Ukrainian drones just wiped us out. And so that defiance, and at the same time, you have Ukrainian civil society, Ukrainian protesters taking it to the streets and protesting Zelensky, saying, we don't like what you're doing, you got to do this. And so the democracy is functioning and flourishing. You have gay, proud soldiers in the army who are coming out demanding civil unions, like demanding rights, everything that Putin is afraid of with his, anti-gay agenda that spreads to Hungary and Ron DeSantis' Florida and so on.
Oh my God.
And so the model of Ukraine, that civic, it has a world famous civic society where if they kill one of those investigative journalists in a car bomb, those colleagues just regroup and they come back stronger. And it's just a story of resurrection. And it's in Ukraine's national anthem where they full on have a line saying, we're not dead yet. We're not dead yet. So they live by that. And it's sort of like, you cannot kill us. We are not dead yet. We will just come back stronger. So that's my lived experience. That's also the experience of so many non-white communities, Black women who have led progress in America. So in the back of A Reasonable Guide, I have a whole reading list to round out the experience of the women we need, that women that I've listened to, that I've taken leadership from, Mickey Kendall, so many others talking about, like Raquel Willis, a Black trans activist. And so it's so important for us to take moral leadership, see the example of moral courage from so many women who come from these groups, because when you grow up on genocide, you understand the art of survival.
No,
it's not existence is not just resistance. You got to have creativity. You got to build your own media. You got to build your own institutions. You got to build your own voter education. You got to build your own full-on society as somebody that's coming out of that. And that is what groups that have survived genocides have done. It's just they unleash the power of creativity. Remember that existence as resistance is not enough. Creativity as resistance, thinking big and creating the kind of world you want to live in. That's what we all need to be doing. It's just unleashing our most ambitious, wild, dreaming selves right now. Like the world may be on fire, but it's also our canvas, and we can rebuild bigger and better from the flames.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because when we think about what we want to happen after 2026 and when we get to 2028, it can't be to do what we've done before.
No.
It must be absolutely to create something better. And in order to create something better, you have to have ideas. You have to let other people in. You have to be able to, there was this article and someone said, what happens if you don't, who was it? Shirley Chisholm said, if they don't give you a chair, pull up a folding chair. Well, I just think
quote that twice in the book. I quote that
wow.
I'm like, I said it's such a good quote. Let's bring it back again.
Yes, and so, but I'm saying at this point, you bring your own table. You bring your own table and you sit your people around it to do the things that need to get done. Because now I don't think it's any good to have just a folding chair. I think you have the folding chair where you can go, and where you can't, you bring your own table and chairs and do what needs to get done.
Well, it's funny you say that, because at the Women's Summit on Sunday, Krista Jones is moderating a panel, and it's really just a fantastic panel woman. It is about, we started with this whole shaking a table, breaking the table. Now we're just reimagining the table, because you can't go to a table that's broken, meaning that the table we have built needs to be rebuilt. And like when you say where we are, we can't go back to where it was. So it's sort of like, pull yourself up to this table. No, it has to be reimagined. And going back to Zelensky, it's for like, as watching him come into the White House and the way Trump and Vance treated him was so really, for me, probably the most lowest points that I thought, and how much I just admire Ukraine. And a lot of us have been obviously carrying the banners, neighbors with flags, just caring about that story that you carry. That's in your, as my dad would say, your genes, your DNA. And it's true. It really forms you. And when you talk about Black women, it's the same thing. Randy B just made a post today talking about how the excellence of being excellent as a Black person, Black women, that it's the biggest thing you could do against the failure of these white folk that just cannot deal with the excellence that Black people, no matter what was put upon them, are succeeding. And that is, the kind of thing that we have to understand and face head on to understand why they're using this grievance. But it's amazing when you see what people are able to accomplish out of really, really hard times. And I do think it builds this kind of gene thing that is really amazing, because you pass this on, this ability to kind of survive. I mean, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, it just feels like that's the case, that you can really be
Oh,
resilient.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's an art form. There's an artistry to it. And I have to tell you, just going back to the model of Ukraine, this is
Mhm.
so crucial that everyone,
Right.
and I know there's so many ways that all of us, our lived experience, our communities can relate to this. Ukraine survives as a nation through its artists. It is the poets throughout centuries that created this coded language to get through the censors, and
Yes.
to pass on the historical truth of what was really going on through this beautiful coded language of poetry. And so that's why when you saw in 2013, 2014, a bunch of college students and then a bunch of people from all across society in this spontaneous popular uprising overthrow the Ukrainian Trump. This guy, Viktor Yanukovych, he checked
Mhm.
all the boxes of being Trumpian. And he ran for his life to Russia, where he's been ever since in exile, awaiting our Trump, of course.
Mhm.
And so when they had that Euromaidan revolution, it was an art festival. They had artists performing on stages. They had murals. They had lending libraries. I know a family, a couple, two singers that met in that revolution and got married and had a family together. And they created a whole rock opera about it that performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So art is, civilization came from art
Yes.
and resistance comes from art.
Yep.
And art is something that they can't force on you. They can force Fox News on you.
Yeah.
They could have Don Jr. publish a book and the RNC can buy up a warehouse of copies to get on the
Mhm.
bestseller. But you cannot drive the people to embrace an art. Like that is completely like we choose that. The people
Right.
choose the artist. We give the power to the artist. And the artists get their power from speaking the voice of the people. And so, and there's just some research that was coming out, I think at UCLA, that there's something extremely healing and powerful about creativity,
Yes.
about art itself. And again, civilization itself came out of cave paintings. Like we made sense of ourselves as a species through our art. So whether you see yourself as creative or an artist or not, I was like a huge super nerd historian in college. It took me years. I had to go through my own Jennifer Grey and Dirty Dancing journey to loosen my hips and become an artist. Like it wasn't something that came naturally,
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. So whether you see yourself as an artist or not, you could still consume art. You could still read poetry. You could still watch films. You can still go to book readings, poetry readings. You can still like amplify those voices online and find them. You could hold community gatherings. There's something extraordinarily paradigm shifting about those tools that have moved
Yes.
us forward as a species for thousands of years.
It's so true. It's that spark that really needs to be there. And this is where it's kind of funny, because when I think about people like this MAGA movement, the Trump, there's nothing funny about them. They lack the humor. The Kennedy Center shutdown, the kind of
Exactly.
mentality they have, it's more destruction than anything.
Yes.
And I think that because that little thing, even if you can do a little scribble on the back of a paper, it's something they can't stop. I mean, it's something so important. So I love that. I'm gonna
Talking.
I'm going to plug the Women's Summit again, because why we want people to listen in. First of all, Explicit's here. A lot of our friends are tuning in. Great to see people. Thank you for being here. We wanted to make sure that we told everybody that the great, like I said, just how the universe aligns, that we came across and met Andrea Chalupa, the author of this wonderful book, The Reasonable Guide for Unreasonable Woman. And we have our Women's Summit. This is our 10th year for men too, by the way. We all women plan it and everybody comes. It's open to all. But she's going to be speaking at the summit. We have a special Saturday evening program where we're going to just really, I think it's going to be really amazing to come together and powerful. And we talk about creativity. We have a gratitude garden. We have craftivism. We have all parts and facets of this. And Michele Hornish, again, being here, we're going to bring her up in a little bit. We have Rachel Bittekoffer, Robert Hubble, but we have speakers all weekend. We have master classes, think tanks, gratitude garden, craftivism, arts, music, singers. Glenn Levy from Nashville is coming. The singing resistance people are coming to sing and let us do this kind of wonderful cathartic. Talk about arts. We bring arts into our program 3 days. Go to networknova.org, get your ticket, use the Big 10 promo code. I'm going to plug it because this is what we need to do. We need to come together. It's so important. Convening is really important.
Yes. Well, my favorite woman, Linda Hersham.
Yes.
And you know the things that she says and what she talks about. You'll love this too, Andrea. Ideas and publishing them is so important.
Yep.
Meeting together is so important. Making injustice public is so important. We have so many ways to do that so that people can see, feel, hear, move with their hearts, because that is the way that you get people to move, by inspiring them, by making them change their heart by what you say and what you do. No better way to do that than art. And then, of course, talking and knocking far and wide, which is we have to find every single way that we can to talk to people in ways that they can understand what it means to them, to their families, and the people that they care about. We won't get everyone, but we have to do the very best we can. And if we do the best we can, that will be enough. That will be enough. But you have to have the courage to do it.
Yeah. I think this conversation we're going to have is probably one of the most important because I feel like people are starting to grasp at straws. When Todd Blanche got in, that to me was just so heavy to know that it was the criminal mob. You're familiar with that too. And to know what they're planning. And I feel like this approach that you have and reminding us of all the things we can do when people say, well, what could I do? I think that we all say that we think we need some call to action that's call your congressman. No, I think we can do something in ourselves and build up what we need to do to be this powerful, resilient, courageous type person. What do you got there, friend? What is that?
So I was gonna say, well, you didn't mention the pajama party, so I'm a little bit
okay. Well, were you wearing your PJs? Because I was going to buy
I'm
some
gonna,
cute ones.
I got a pajama game. So
I know she loves wearing. She loves
I got
PJs.
a pajama game.
I know.
So I'm just saying.
I know you do. You got your pajama game.
So talk about because when we do this, we're gonna also bring up Michele Hornish, Rachel Bittekoffer,
I know.
whatever other after we have our conversation with you, so that they can hear all of us talk about stuff in ways that
yes, on the stage. But so we have this plot. So we're going to do this. Doors open at 8 on Saturday. We're going to do our special sit down. Then after we're done, we have our PJ party plan. It's just fun, right? But we think we're going to wear our PJs on. I was going to get maybe some cool black little PJs. I'm not really sure to sit with Andrea and.
Should I wear my PJs? I didn't get the memo. Okay, I will do it.
You just got back. I would say you have to pack them because I think we need to talk. But yeah, PJ on the stage. I'll say that Fennell does have a lot of great.
I got a game. I have a great PJ game. I'm just saying.
Yeah, tops and bottoms, as we say. Yeah. Anyways, but I don't want to keep you all night. I know we want to bring Michele Hornish up too. So, Andre, we will be back in touch because we got to get you the memo. We got to get you the PJ memo and share this event. I'm just really looking forward to just letting loose on Saturday.
And I just want to say, for people who live in Northern Virginia, in DC,
what the hell?
in Maryland,
DC,
yeah, what the hell?
Get out! They're going to have the Grand Prix. They're getting
Get in your car and come. This is the moment that you've been waiting for, because we're going to give you everything that you need to walk out a different person than when you walked in. If you were strong and powerful when you walked in, you're going to be stronger and more powerful and more knowledgeable about what it takes to win this fight when you walk out.
And let me say the Grand Prix, I think Trump is having that stupid Grand Prix that's next week. And why wouldn't you want to get out of DC and come to nice air-conditioned Northern Virginia in Tyson's Corner? So anyways, what are you thinking? Well, you're back and rested. We're ready to go. We'll send you some more info. We are really, and I hope that you'll check in on the weekend. I'll send you the whole itinerary. It's a lot of great stuff going on. Food trucks too. We got food trucks.
Yeah, food trucks.
You women are extraordinary. You're making history with this summit. You are flipping the script on them. They are terrified of you, and I love it. So
Yeah.
this is the place to be, and I'm so excited. And we're going to promote the hell out of it on my
Thank
podcast,
you.
GasLit Nation,
Yes.
and also do like a whole carousel on the remarkable wins of the women of Virginia. And those wins are thanks to groups like yours and summits like this. This is where change happens.
That is awesome.
Yes.
No, and I know there's we'll have a Democracy Under Pressure in the afternoon. Mike Fanone and Denver Riggleman. We have a cast of characters coming in for this. I'm so excited for all the speakers will be joining us. So we'll be in touch. Make sure that you're ready and start packing. I may have to
I'm ready. I'll be there with my pajamas on. I'm so excited.
All right, we'll see you, Andrea. We're going to bring
Love
Michele.
you, ladies. Thank you so much for all that you do. I'm so honored.
Yeah,
Can't
stay
wait to
tuned.
see you in person.
We'll see you later.
Yes.
We're going to invite Michele up, and then hopefully you'll get to meet her if you want to come back in the room to watch. Oh, here she is. Call her up. Okay, thanks. We'll see you later.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can invite Michele
So
now.
see if you can do it. Do you see her out there?
I'm going to send an invite to Michele, as she has it now. So hopefully she can jump in. And
so while she's jumping in, I'll just say, talk about
go
art.
ahead.
So talk about art. So Michele does art. She also plays the guitar. She sings. She does a little bit of everything. So she is the everything woman. And so I'm just saying, she got it all.
She's got
Hi, friends.
Hi there.
What
How
do you
are
think?
you, Michele?
What'd you think of that, Michele? Are you ready?
Yes, I love Andrea. I'm really, really excited to be in the same room with her, and we're speaking, frankly, out of the same playbook.
True.
What she's talking about is so similar. Now I need to read her book, right? Because I'm definitely an unreasonable woman. How could you say that I'm a reasonable woman, you guys?
You're not reasonable. You're unreasonable.
I was
so
making a
not.
little joke. Yeah, I know. Well, none of us are obviously reasonable.
Right. We're all a little bit feral. We just need a little bit more glitter, right? Like this is
right.
And that's frankly what I think I'm going to be talking about. Well, what I know that I'm going to be talking about, on Saturday is about the art of motivation and how we can sort of use our own personal passion, and our desire to make the world better, how we can match those two things up and use them essentially like a flywheel. So that's what we're going to be talking about, in the masterclass that I have on Saturday. And I'm so excited. I'll be telling lots of stories from my own personal life that no one publicly has heard before.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I've heard the story, so I will keep them to myself because they are really powerful. I love Michele's stories. It is going to be a powerful, powerful masterclass. But I also just want to talk about the fact that you are so fantastic at reframing conversations in ways that people understand them. And so for those of you who have not met Michele, you are really missing out if you're not listening and watching her on Substack talk about things, reframe the kinds of things that are happening in the country today in ways that people who might not be interested in hearing what you have to say, when they hear them the way that she talks about them, it makes so much sense to the way that we should talk to people in order to get them to change their minds, because it is okay to change your mind. I'm just saying.
It is okay to change your mind. And thank you for those kind words. I've been trying to take, I have knowledge from, I'm a former attorney. I usually say that I'm a recovering lawyer. And so I use the knowledge that I have from helping build, budgets, and from looking through budgets to put a little bit of framing and a little bit of teeth into some of the choices that they're making, because we all know there's that old saying that budgets are moral documents. It's absolutely true. And so we look at what they're spending money on and what they're not spending money on, what they're cutting and what
they're stealing. Right.
Right. So I've been trying to highlight that, especially, particularly because when you're talking about billions and trillions of dollars, suddenly it just feels like monopoly money because there's so many zeros and people don't really have a frame of reference for those figures. So I've been trying to really hone in on that, on the $330 billion that we needed to fund the ACA, for example. And that's, they're asking for a $1.5 trillion defense budget. That would have funded the ACA for 45 years. Right?
How does that even make sense? It just doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't make
sense.
And at the same time, the amount of destruction, from the national parks, the bulldozing things to when you go downtown, and I'm glad that we're telling people from Free DC groups, come into Virginia for the summit because he's doing a Grand Prix to rip the roads up and the town up. Since I can't tell you how bad downtown is, and the Kennedy Center with the trousers on the front of it, so it doesn't want anybody to see the front, the reflecting pool, going back to even the ballroom. Let's remember that was the women's side of it, where women's history was, where the archive of us, where the Rose Garden. You will never get back those roses. That's from the Jacqueline Kennedy. Like these things he's trying to take from us. And this is why listening to Andrea, it's like, I think we have to just get stronger and rise up instead of getting defeated, just like, no, motherfucker, you're not going to take this. You may be doing this, but we are going to make sure that, you're accountable, but we will put so many roses down there at some point. It will be like the Wizard of Oz with poppies all over, but can be so overwhelming. But I do think we have to stay in that lane and that remaining positive, whatever that word is, but really courageous and strong, because they're really trying to just right now take as much as they can before they exit. You can
Absolutely.
feel it. You can feel it.
Yeah, it's a smash and grab, right?
Yeah,
I think that they understand what's happening, what's coming down after them.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely correct, by the way. So I mean, I can understand their motivation.
Yes.
But I think it's you highlighting the fact that so much of the historical pieces of the White House that have been torn down are related to women or have attachment to women. I think it's just a really, it's such a metaphor, right?
Right.
We get to decide now how we react to that and what we build in its stead. Right? And Andrea was saying that as well, right? They've torn down so much that is not a gift, but it is an opportunity.
Right.
We need to decide what we want to do with that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that is one of our master classes, which is that is one of
we got that too.
We have that too, which is turning crisis into opportunity. And so this is what we're going to talk about, because this is where we are. I always like to call it never let a crisis go to waste, because I think that that's the mode that we're in right now. We're in this crisis mode. And so how do we not waste them? How do we take the creativity that we've been talking about and do something different? How do we flip the table? And that's what the summit is all about, is for these women and men who come to put your heads together and figure out how we do this different. And that's why I was talking about Wyatt Walker, who decided that we have no power. They have all the political power. They have all the power for anything that you need, and we have nothing. But what we do have is wits and creativity. And what they decided to do was to make their power their weakness. And that is what our opportunity is. When we come together, it is to put our heads together and figure out how we make their power their weakness. That's what we got to do.
Mm-hmm. I'm all about that. I am all about it. Well, I am going to say that it's probably time that we sort of wrap up. I know that we have a big week. I'm so excited you're coming in. Right now, I mean,
I can't wait.
If there's enough gas to get here, I don't know. Like, I keep thinking, when are we going to run out of just resources? These folks are just going to try to say, well, we can't fly anymore. I always tell people, when they build a wall, that means we get stuck inside. But we are very excited, and we have 3 days of just amazing opportunities to get together. And Friday night at the summit, August 21st, at the Tysons, Virginia area we'll be in, we start off in community. That's how we're starting the stage, because I feel like that's the most important thing that we can do, stay in community, talk about collaboration, and we'll have some of our candidates there. It's going to be exciting. The singing resistance groups will be there. We have Gwen Levy coming from Nashville. She'll be there. And it's just going to be one thing after another. We'll be learning and sharing. But I always say, all these stages are choreographed to really just kind of weave us through this journey, and also sing this one song eventually at the end that is going to be just wonderful. throughout, but it will be meeting each other. It will be when we're sitting in the lounge having a martini. That will be really great, or just hanging out and seeing each other. That's where things happen. Ladies, when we get together, and that creativity and the energy we get from each other is how we're going to really get through this.
I wanted to just point out
Please do.
CJ Krim,
Yes,
who does documentaries, is going to be there.
She's gonna be
CJ
there.
Sisterhood, which is fantastic. Miss Margaret Morrison, who you all
Oh,
hear
Miss
about on the
Margaret's
Friday
gonna
Power
be
Lunch
there.
all the time, is going to be there. But I wanted to say about CJ's documentary that she's working on
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
she talked
chaplain
about that.
Terry. Yeah, it's called "It's Okay to Change Your Mind," and it's stories of hope from women leaving MAGA. This is what the card actually looks like.
So great.
And so it's going to be fantastic. But on the other side of the card is your video, their vote, and pause for 60, which is actually pausing for 60 seconds. 60 seconds, one relationship, one vote sent with love. And it has more than 21 different scripts that you can use. Frame it your own way, but it's there. Oh, phone calling. It's going to be done your own way so that you can talk to the people that you love. It is the way to get past algorithms because it's you talking to your friends, your family, your community without Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, but it is a direct video from you to them. That is how we change minds. That is how we move people. That is how we build momentum. That is how we get this thing rolling. So I can't wait to tell you all about it when we get there.
Me neither. There's so many things I could just sit here all day and just talk about all the people and the different things that are going to be happening. I'm so excited about. Really, I just am. So make sure you pack your PJs.
Yes, I did get the memo, and I still need to go shopping.
I do. I'm not. I have PJs. I'm not. I'm
I will
more
do
the T-shirt. I'm a more T-shirt.
I mean, that's sort of my but hey, I love a reason to go out and get some wonderful PJs. So I will be there.
I am
my
raising the
budget
game for
supports it.
everybody. I'm raising the game.
I'm telling you. So one time we had this get together. We did a retreat, and Fennell came with also. She was in charge of snacks, and and let me tell you what, the snacks were so good. And when I say snacks, candies, Twizzlers, popcorn, it was just every snack imaginable.
That's great.
Oh, I know, she's so good. And then the PJ, and then also the slippers. I think you.
I do have slippers. And I'm bringing those for sure.
Yes.
That was already on my packing list.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm a slipper person. I have multiple pairs of slippers. See, so I think maybe you're a PJ person or you're a slipper person. Maybe that's the thing.
But I wanted to say hi to Gigi.
Yeah, I see Gigi.
She just found us. I'm so glad that you did.
She's hanging in her PJs.
Yeah, so there you go. And so for anyone who's joining us for the first time, we're here every Sunday night, no matter what, rain, sleet, snow, hail, we are here. 7:00, and we have conversations just like this one. Some of them, there's more cussing depending on how mad Catherine is. But I told her I became a cusser after hanging out with her. But anyway, but we talk about really wonderful things and whatever is on our mind. And it's just for us to come together and just to talk about what is happening and what we need us to all be thinking about. But we're just regular people. We're not pundits. We're not consultants. We're the people on the ground who can actually tell you what we're feeling when we do the work. So
yeah, and also we have our Friday Power Lunch every Friday live. So if anybody's tuning in, subscribe to our Substack because Fennell is such an awesome writer. We do this program together, and we meet people like Michele, who we follow and thrive on. We have such similar stuff and work that we do about caring about people everywhere. We always say Virginia is my district, but really the world, all these different states that we come into now, and we help each other. We learn from each other. We've learned so much from you and Jess Piper about what it's like to run in rural. What it's like, Jess Piper, so prescient. Remember a couple years ago, she came to this summit and she said, I live in a red state. Now they're going to do it to everybody. They did it to us. We've been living like this for 20 years. Welcome. And I'm like, what?
I've been saying that we were the Petri dish, right? We've been the Petri dish for a long time. Other activists in other red states, in Tennessee and Ohio, with state projects, people in Oklahoma. I mean, I hear this from folks everywhere because it's true. And we've been living this and we've been screaming about it and trying to get attention.
People's attention.
Because we got ours.
Now we are being led by the lowest common denominator, right? That is what's happening. The state legislator in the reddest district, in the reddest state, the safest one is going to be the one that introduces the legislation that will make its way over time all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States, and it will be able to be the law of the land. That is the method that they have.
It is. Let's call it
and
Calais versus Louisiana.
that is exactly it.
is. Yep.
And I've been saying this for years, right? And people I think thought that we were being a little bit histrionic, right? We were being a little hysterical. Not true, right? This is the chess game, and all of the pieces are in place. And so now we as a party, as humans as well, need to decide, how are we going to react? My way of reacting is to fight everywhere with everything that we've got all at once. Right? That's why we're trying to make every state blue. That's why my work, my personal mission in life is to make sure that the people who are running in the reddest, roughest, toughest places in the country have resources.
Yes.
Actual support, money, and also moral support, and that they feel that there is an entire groundswell underneath them. They should feel that because it's true, right? But that's what gets me out of bed.
Well, I'm wondering too, like, now I could talk forever, all night about this, but if we know that you guys have been living almost, Jess was talking about, like 20 years under this, and you could see how bad it is in the sense of how schools, what the state of everything is in now after no leadership or governance, and that's what they're doing. And if there is a way that we can learn to get out of it that's in that, like what you're doing now is gathering, people are maybe waking up to it. So they rigged the whole system in your state. Now they're doing that right now with Trump and MAGA. They're trying to rig the second time around every level, lever of power. The AG was the last to fall, the Attorney General, right? So what they're doing is the same thing, Michele. They're like literally how they did it in the States is how they're doing it on a grander level. They're looking at right now, they're in the grab phase, and they're saying, what do we need to do to shut this down? Because you're stuck only because they have made it like gerrymandered things. So when you vote, it doesn't matter. That's what they're trying to do on the big national level to make it so you're kind of impotent, when you're trying to do your usual vote your way out of this. So we have to think differently. We have to think differently.
We have to be creative, and we have to be really, really persistent, and we have to turn out in huge. So here's a story that I will tell you, and then unfortunately I do have to go.
We have to go too.
We do too. My family is already emailing saying you said 30 minutes. Okay.
This is a hopeful story. So in Missouri, the supermajority in our state legislature proposed something for our ballot, for our August 4th ballot, which, obviously is a couple weeks ago. And that would have made it so that it would made it a lot harder for Missourians to pass citizen initiatives like ballot initiatives, right? Citizen petitions. It would have taken it from a simple majority to a majority in all 8 congressional districts. Now, this ballot initiative process is how we have preserved abortion rights, how we have raised the minimum wage, how we've legalized weed, how we required earned sick leave, all kinds of progressive measures, right, that have passed with statewide majorities. The people of Missouri, 80% of them voted this proposal down.
Right.
Republicans got absolutely shellacked across the entire state. And that was in rural areas, very rural areas, and the very urban areas at the same time. So it just goes to show that when we all work together, we can make that happen. We can keep the pro-democracy movement moving.
Yeah.
Right. We just have to be working at it, and we have to be messaging it in all the places.
I did see that in different states.
Yeah, you talked about it.
We talked about
2 weeks ago.
Well, right. And I'll just say on this ending thing is it shows that the way that the voters feel, it's really like in Ohio, the same thing. It's really more blue leaning. And when you let everybody have a say, it reveals itself. It's just how they shut down all the stuff. But yeah, so I'm so excited. I'm going to make sure that Fennell's people are going to eat dinner, Willie, everybody. And Michele, too, thank you for your time. And we'll see you soon. We'll be sending more information. Everybody join us at the Women's Summit. It is for everybody. It's just run and organized by women. Why wouldn't you want to go? Because it's going to be fantastic. Go to networknova.org. Follow us on Substack. And let's do it, ladies. Let's get unreasonable together. Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye, Michele. Can't wait to see you.
Right. Bye-bye. Bye.